Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar, Microsoft Teams for Government series. This is session 3 of Reaching Firstline Workers, Alumni and Cross-Departmental Groups. My name is Nick Ramaker. I am the Chief Marketing Officer at LiveTiles, and I'm also joined today by Vladimir Radiovic, who's our Senior Account Executive, and Jason Alessi, our Product Specialist at LiveTiles. A little bit about us. We're a global company. We specialize in employee collaboration in comms, software, services, and AI for the workplace. We're geographically distributed across 3 continents, and all these countries you can see listed here. If you'd like more information about us, you can visit us at livetilesglobal.com. So I will hand over to Vladimir now to give you an introduction on our topic today. Over to you, Vlad.
Thanks, Nick. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to webinar number 3 of our 4-part series. So as noted above, my name's Vlad, and I lead the Canva business. So with regards to this slide, I know we showed it to you last week, but I think the message is quite pertinent to this week's topic. It's not about trying to get the people to adopt the digital workplace. It's about the digital workplace adopting the people. You need to make the technology fit the people, not the other way around. So in this session, we're discussing a group of people that have some quite specific needs, with traditional workplace tools often failing to reach these groups. I'll show you who these people are in the next slide. So these groups are firstline workers, alumni, and cross-departmental groups. So firstline workers are your first point of contact in the organization, working behind the counter and on the phone, running day-to-day operations. This is both an important and a large group and accounts for an estimated 900,000 public sector employees alone. So with 1.9 million public sector employees, that accounts for about 47% of the total workforce. Services Australia alone, for example, has an estimated 33,700 firstline workers in 919 locations across Australia. Alumni communities often make up large groups of individuals that may still have an interest in your organization and are thirsty for communication but lack that access. And cross-departmental groups may be like-minded individuals separated by a departmental infrastructure or IT platforms. So we'll talk in the next slide about examples of first-line workers. So there's a huge amount of examples of first-line workers, but I've chosen one to delve into that's quite timely given the ACT government election. So hopefully this demonstrates some of the challenges that are faced by first-line workers in receiving communication from their employers. So we'll talk about Leela, who is a voter information officer. So Leela is a temporary employee of the Electoral Commission. She provides information and assistance to electors in their language to help them make a formal vote, and she does this in 3 different languages that she speaks very fluently. Unfortunately, she has no access to departmental systems like Office 365 or Active Directory and has limited access to departmental devices, predominantly accessing her information via her personal mobile. So what she needs is communications that are mobile friendly. She still needs to complete relevant training and have awareness of her policy from the department. She needs to know about updates and announcements on any electoral news and information, and she needs direct communications as well as access to important notices, the ability to communicate back to the organization, and the ability to access documents in various languages. So in the next slide, I think we'll talk about how we can communicate potentially, what the challenges are in communicating with a worker such as Leela. So going back to slide 4, it's about making the technology fit the people, not the other way around. So as organizations, we're moving more towards siloed communication groups, and this is great. It's allowed for deeper collaboration, conversation, and interaction between groups of people or individuals. It's been particularly effective with a distributed workforce. Unfortunately, when we talk about groups like first-line workers, this approach isn't always the best approach. In many instances, these groups may not have access to communication systems. They may not have access to corporate devices and may be highly distributed and varied in their roles. So how do you provide them with information that they need as representatives or former representatives of your department? How do you give them access to policies and procedures they need to remain compliant? And importantly, how do you alert these workers quickly on critical information? Microsoft Teams and Slack on their own traditionally are not great at top-down communications, and company-wide teams often become unwieldy and unmanageable very quickly. Email has become an outdated form of communication that quickly overloads its users, and third-party chat applications like WhatsApp are not secure. All these methods also lack a centralized control method for managing the communication to first-line workers. So I've asked a lot of questions and posed quite a few problems. So I'll now pass over to Jason, who may be able to provide you some of these answers on how your department can reach its first-line workers, alumni, and cross-departmental groups. So I'll pass on to Jason. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Vlad. Just want to let me know if that my screen is being shared. That would be great.
Yep, it's coming through, mate.
Excellent. As today, or as this session is the third part in our series, for those of you that were on last week, we did show some of our LiveTiles Reach solution working in Microsoft Teams. Today, we're going to show you what the actual application looks like and how it functions on its own. And on the screen here, you'll see on the left, I'm actually casting my mobile device to the screen, and that is purely to show you guys the experience that an end user would have using the mobile application versus what the actual application looks like in a web app. So as you can see, it's very similar in terms of experience, obviously optimized for mobile in a vertical type view, but for a frontline worker and someone who is not desk bound, so they are deskless, they're always on the move, it's all about providing efficiency and having that information at their fingertips ready to go, almost seamlessly. And so as you can see here, as I scroll down, it's their news feed all rolled up into one in terms of from a corporate comms point of view, with news filled from all the channels that they're actually subscribed to or they're a part of. And as you see on the left, on the right here, we have the side panel or the menu. For the mobile application, it is collapsed by default, and it is displayed from the burger menu. So you'll see here, we're actually replicating what the user would typically see from that desktop view. As we scroll down, we have all the functionality available that you would expect to see in desktop. So we still have the posting functionality, we still have pages, events, analytics, and that people search. But for an end user, it's very important to be able to quickly log in and have that feed-like ability, like you would see on all the social platforms these days, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything like that, with obviously the newest and the most relevant at the top, and allow for that scroll functionality. So as a user, I can scroll down, I can get that metadata instantly tagged against that news, so the dates, any keywords that are tagged against it to help for searchability, as well as channels that they are posted to, descriptions, and a little bit of descriptive text as well. Clicking on the news item, again, replicates that same functionality and that same experience and view that you would expect to see from the web application, obviously in a condensed form through mobile. But all the news and information is there, right at my hands. We have the social element enabled as well. So the liking, the commenting, the bookmarking, sharing, all of that functionality you would expect to see is still available from the mobile application. Whatever happens here is going to translate directly to the working app in the browser as well. As a user as well, I know Vlad touched on, non-English speaking or, second language, support for second language. It is something that we have built into the platform. And for those that saw a brief example of it happening last week, it does, apologies. It does translate as well to our application. So for an example up here, you'll see an article that is not written in English. It is written in Danish. And for an end user like myself, English being my spoken language, it is important to be able to have that support in the platform to be able to translate that information and that data. So as a global company, not everything at LiveTiles is posted in English. We do have information that is posted in, European languages. So for myself, having that ability to quickly translate to my primary language supported by the platform is very neat. So as you see here, I've translated that information directly from Danish into English, allowing me to interact, with that article and understand what that is about. Now, that is purely automatic in the sense that in my settings, I have set my language or my primary language to English. Now, obviously here, Ava Gray as the publisher has written that article in Danish. Now, for myself, that article will automatically be published and will sit in my feed written in Danish. But you'll see here, automatic translation is enabling me to quickly switch that over. Now, we have support for around 15 to 20 other languages. So as a user, you're allowed to set your primary language and translate, any, languages, articles written in other languages back to your set primary. That's covered off on the news. In terms of being able to see that news in that form, it is very straightforward. You'll see here again that I have all my available channels I can switch through, so I'm not forced to see a full roll-up of all news. I can actually drill down to see more prescribed news if I want to. Again, you'll see the commenting, the liking, all the social features enabled. More importantly, in a corporate comms app, specifically in Frontline, is being able to use functionality beyond news and beyond communications. And we have some extra functionality built into the application. Is very useful. That also being related to posting. And the common reference that we use here, or the comparison, is something that you would expect to see in a Facebook, Twitter, anything social type environment, where users have the ability to upload posts or create posts, creating more of that social collaboration, allowing other users to jump onto the post, to comment back. Really great forum for asking questions as well to a wider audience. Announcements can also be put through here. Users have the option to turn the bell icon on to enable alerts, so they can keep up to date with that post and follow along as those responses keep coming in. Now, for frontline workers, it's a great way to create collaboration within certain groups as well. So again, we might not be all working in the same state, even the same country, but a quick way for us to, seamlessly post a question to each other, or a statement, whatever it may be, something that we need to quickly get that information out. We can tag in posts as well, so we can tag certain users, and we'll cover off the people functionality soon. But that full end-to-end social element is built directly into the application. So it's really imperative for us to push out more functionality, more features beyond than just that simple news capability. Log in, view the news, like it, log off, whatever that may be. It needs to be deeper, it needs to be richer, and provide much more value in terms of, how can we really target these frontline workers, these deskless workers, and give them everything they need, in a way that they can quickly consume information, give back in terms of, collaborating back, creating their own information, and getting back to what they're doing. Moving on from the posts, we have the pages functionality. Now, this is again something Vlad touched on before. This is all around creating exactly what it is, pages of information. So knowledge bases, policies and procedures, articles. You can use it as a wiki. It can be used for blogs. And you'll see here that it lives in the form of a parent category. So you'll see here we have people and culture policies, product knowledge base, IT policies, and then from here as a user we can actually drill down. So if I click on the people and culture policies, there should be some sub policies underneath. So we have a general roll up, And then it lives in navigation form. So we can jump through the next pages, we can jump to sub pages, or we can jump to other categories that live under that parent category. So if we jump to a sub page of people and culture policies, we can click on, an equal employment, and it will navigate us through. And again, much like the news, it is in the same form, same context. Rich imagery and the socials, again, can be enabled or disabled if needed. And sharing as well. Sharing is a important feature that we feel like that needs to be added here to be able to share that information across business and organizations as well. Moving down, events, something that's quite largely used in intranets, allowing users to keep up to date with what's coming, whether they be physical events, virtual events. Typically when you're looking at something like SharePoint, nearly every intranet implementation that I've been involved with or seen has some sort of events functionality that allows users to either just know and keep up to date with what's coming, but we've actually gone a step further and allowed for registrations as well. So we can create events now in LiveTiles Reach that allow for user registration and allows users on the back end, so those administrators, to have a sense of, okay, what are we looking at here? What's a registration like? Are we getting the uptake that we need? Are we even getting people seeing these events? Now, when you're looking at the typical intranet, in my experience, I've never used SharePoint on mobile. It's clunky. Most of you would probably agree, but something where we can quickly pull up, an example here, LiveTiles Reach, pulling up this event information, seeing what's coming up, being able to quickly register from mobile, clicking on the event to understand more of what it's about, getting information like when the event is happening, when registrations close, more information about the author or about the event. As an administrator, I can actually view and manage the participants. So I can click and see, who's registered, who hasn't. And being able to download that as a CSV file might seem minor, but when you look at extra functionality and go a step further and being able to plug that into, Excel or Power BI, and then being able to visualize that is quite important. So when you're talking about the large end of town for events where you might have hundreds, even thousands of registrants, that can be a very neat piece of functionality. I won't touch on analytics because that's more of an admin back-end type thing. But again, people, without people, the platform, has no basis really. So as an end user, more for that collaborative social element, being able to search users is very valuable. We can create almost a type of friends list where you can actually create a set group of people that you typically would work with, whether it's your department, whether it's your close peers, whether it's your department plus X amount of people from other departments that you typically work with. Completely up to you on how you want to structure that. We have the search enabled. And then on mobile, being able to quickly drop their name down, click on the email to email them, or even to just start calling directly. And again, that will tap into your mobile phone's primary functionality on what you have set up there. So, if you have Apple Mail set up or Outlook as your primary mail client, that will just use that functionality from your mobile phone. That's pretty much end-to-end for mobile. Now, while in mobile, it is set for that typical end user. This is where we would transition to the web application for someone like a content manager, an owner, an author, where they would actually curate that news. So when you're talking mobile, it's very much enhanced and optimized for that end user read-only type scenario where I'm consuming that information. But we really would be jumping back to the web application for a clear, consistent user experience when we're creating that news. So you see here the difference here between the mobile and the web app is when I jump in here, I have manage news now, as I am an administrator, content author, and I can use that to either 1, edit existing news, 2, see what's needing to be published or that needs approvals. So you'll see here we have a couple of pending articles above the red line that need to be either approved, edited before publishing. And anything below the red line is what's currently published and in circulation. But if I want to create fresh news from a blank canvas, I can do so from the top right, and that will launch me into canvas mode. So you'll see this is very typical of what an end user would see for the article. Now, this functionality is pretty much the same for posts, pages, and events as well. We've made a conscious decision to keep it clean UI and experience across all the functionality, in particularly for onboarding the application. Once you know how to create a news article, it's very seamless to understand how do I create posts, pages, and events as well. So here, very simple. News articles require a title. You can have an abstract underneath for a quick description if you want. You don't have to. We have the ability to change configurations on publishing settings and channels as well, so we can post on behalf of other users. We can schedule publishing. Really useful for, if I've created an article on a late Friday, but I know if I post it now, it's not going to get many readers. I can schedule that to post early on a Monday morning and set an expiry date too, if it's something that doesn't need to linger around in circulation. I can add in keywords as well, typical of any corporate comms communication platform. Turn socials on and off. I can also turn it into a poll as well, so I can add questions into that article. Did you find this useful? Yes, sort of, no, any of that sort of stuff, where the author can then go back and get data and insights on the answers from the end users. I can also ask for confirmation, so read confirmation, and that will actually turn the article into this green banner. So as you saw before on this roll-up page, if I just quickly switch back to the mobile side here, what this would actually do is post itself on the top of everyone's feed for that channel, specific channel that I posted to, and present itself in this green banner, alerting users that this is an article that confirms you to mark it as read. So there's a bit of compliancy there as an author or an owner. I've needed confirmation from a set group of users to say, yes, I've read this, I understand. And that goes a long way to count from compliance on the back end in the business. Other functionality, so being able to show changes in history as well. When you talk about something like SharePoint having that information with history, we have that same functionality built into the app as well, through the Reach app. So being able to backtrack history changes, deleting the article, and also turning it into an alert. So much like we saw with requiring confirmation, we can actually turn on an alert and it will display itself in the same banner style, but it will be red with this warning sign, alerting users that an alert has been posted. This is typically reserved for something like, IT outages, something that HR needs to quickly post out, office changes, closures, anything like that, where you want to ensure that the news is pinned to the top of the feed, as well as also setting durations as well if required, and then also being able to expire that alert after that duration. And the last piece worth noting here for news is being able to add rich imagery. So we can add imagery directly from your computer or your device. We can use the integration from Unsplash. Unsplash is a free image site where you can select high-res imagery across certain categories. And the latest piece that we've added is integration from Canva. So Canva has a really cool freemium account that you can use, allowing you to pick templates and imagery, create your own styling, whatever that may be, directly, into the Reach application. So you'll see here, we can pick a text or anything like that. Now it is constrained to using the free features, unfortunately, unless you have a premium account. But really, really good way to, ensure that your news is, designed to the highest standards, creating a really good user experience, bad imagery, or low res imagery, anything like that can really make and break news. If you have really good high res imagery, really good designs that can actually entice users to want to know more. So it could be the difference between looking at that header image for an article and going, that's a really cool image, and clicking on it to know more, or just looking at an image going, that's terrible, and just keep scrolling. So with that free Canva integration, we've seen a real uptick in our usage of our customers using that, particularly being the freemium case, allowing you to build more on brand article news as well that's specific to your business and your organization. So there are a few checkpoints that you need to tick off with the news. Obviously, having the main points of the title, the body, everything like that. Once that's enabled, you can go ahead and publish, or you can go ahead and schedule for approval. So that will actually drop into what I showed you before, that kind of pending state above the red line, and require an approver to come in to check it off and then publish as well. Along the top, you see here we've got primary English. That's because my primary language is English, but we can set other enabled languages. And just as you see here, we've got German and Danish as well. So, if I was a German-speaking author, I could actually post both articles, or the same article, in both German and English, allowing for that automatic translation, as we covered off moments ago. So I'm just going to exit out of this now. So main differentiator between the application, the mobile application, the web app, is the ability to, curate the news. But we also have settings based as well. So as an administrator, I have all the extra admin settings too. So, adding users to the platform, you'll see here we have direct integration to Azure AD. So seamless authentication there. We're using existing Microsoft technology. So once you've created that connection with your Active Directory, users simply just need a link to go to the platform, sign in with their Microsoft account, and you're ready to go. Creating owners of the platform or administrators, curating channels as well. So you'll see here all these channels align directly to what we've seen, adding permissions to channels as well. So you can be admins of certain channels or authors to certain channels and only have read access to others. Self-registration, allowing for externals to be onboarded to your Reach application as well. So, if you want to invite, partners, customers, whatever that may be, into your environment, you can do so through the self-registration too. This is just all about configuring the AD. So very simple. Supporting languages as well. You'll see here what we have as active, non-active, also being able to add more languages. Keyword creation, customization, so you can control the UI in terms of your primary and secondary colors, as well as the logo in the top left corner. You can give your name a subscription. For those techies on here, we can create webhooks directly into the platform too. We make our API available, so if you want to write in functionality that would pull content from other systems, you can definitely do so. And to wrap this up, profile preferences as well. So as we covered off last week, we do have the news portion of this application available in Microsoft Teams. So as a user, you have the option to choose where or how you want to receive your notifications. Do you want them on mobile? Do you want them to come through email? Do you want them in Microsoft Teams? You can have all or none or a few, completely up to you per each feature. So news, events, posts, if you've been mentioned. I like to configure these so I get mine through push and I turn email off to reduce the amount of mail that's coming into my inbox, as well as being able to manage your channels as well. So you can pin your channels, you can turn notifications on and off, and you can reorder according to your liking. That pretty much rounds off LiveTiles Reach, covering both the experience on the mobile application and the desktop cloud application as well. Vlad, I'll hand this back over to you.
Thanks, Jason. So thanks again for joining, everyone. As always, this session will be recorded and will be available for viewing on YouTube. And we'll send you an email with a link to the recorded session, as well as some details on how you can access LiveTiles Reach for your first line workers. You can also get in touch to organize a facilitated Teams workshop. Other than that, I look forward to seeing you in next week's 4th and final session, how to ensure employee engagement in challenging times and beyond. I'll pass over to Nick to end off. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Vladimir, and thank you, Jason, and thank you everyone for attending. And just so you know, just give you a little bit of an idea around the pricing. It comes in around $1.95 per user in the 5,000 plus user band. And if you want more information about it, you can contact us at info@livetilesglobal.com. We'll also be following you up with this new white paper that we have, Can Microsoft Teams Replace Your Intranet, which is compliments of us. And thank you again for joining. Hope to see you next week. Thanks again, everyone.